Welcome in and welcome back, everybody, to Sports Profit TV. This is week 7 of the MLS Live podcast. I am Cooper, aka the Sports Prophet, and with me, as always, is my co-host, MLS guru Garrett at Just Some Footy on Twitter. We're coming off a great week, 5-1, I think. So anybody that tuned in last week, we definitely helped you profit on Major League Soccer, which is what we like to do around here. That is the goal of the show. 18-12 on the season, so currently hitting at a 60% clip. We're only 6 weeks into the season. We have 18 weeks of regular season MLS to go, and then plus playoffs. So very excited to get into week 7. How we doing, Garrett?
Good, man. I think we're in a really good vein right now. It's one loss in the last 2 weeks, period. So it's a good feeling, man. I like where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we got a good feel for it right now. You specifically are I feel like this will be a heat check because you are red hot, hitting some crazy dog winners and just very, very good handicaps on all your winners last week. So,
now with all that praise, 0-3, here we go.
right, knock on wood, absolutely. But anyways, we will move right along into the show. Per usual, let's talk about BetUS real quick, and we'll get to the predictions. BetUS is the sponsor of this show. Garrett and I both book with BetUS. Really good sports book. They're offering 200% deposit bonus right now, up to $3,750. The link to that promo is in the description of this video. But without further ado, let's get to the good stuff. Match week 7, Major League Soccer. Not really any notable player news worth talking about.
Nothing for MLS. I mean, there's always if you're watching the United States men's team, there's always talk of I think you see Pepe get a move over the summer.
Yep.
He's earned it playing for a really bad Dutch side.
Yeah.
There's no way Augsburg recover their $20 million price tag that they paid for him.
Yep.
Like, that is just flushed, but they will get something back for him. And I think he moves to a much better side. Feyenoord, PSV, those are the teams being mentioned around that might grab him. So I think he stays in the general area he's in and just goes to a much better team.
Yeah, and he needs to. I mean, we're all rooting for that to happen at this point for Pepe. Really good showing recently for him on the national side. Was nice to see him back in, confident and good form. So wishing Pepe the best, and hopefully he gets a well-deserved move to a big club. Anyways, here we go. Talking match week 7 predictions. Garrett is going to start us off per usual. Where are you headed this week, Garrett?
So I'm going to grab LA Galaxy. They are on the road going to Houston, and I'm getting their draw no bet. I think it's at even money. And this whole bet is based off of one half of football. And what I mean by that is Greg Vanney is probably this most stubborn coach in MLS. If you watched our show last season, I don't know how many times we were calling for Galaxy to run 2 strikers. They are always more creative when they have 2 forwards on the field. They went down early to the Sounders, 2-0 in the first half last week. Second half, Vanney makes the switch immediately to start the second half to two strikers. And in that half, the Galaxy put up a better expected goal total than they had in any full game on the season so far. Granted, yes, Seattle was up 2-0. They probably took their foot off the gas a little bit, but I mean, Galaxy had them on the ropes for most of that second half. We were sweating the money line, and we were sweating the draw no bet for Seattle. That was not a fun half to sit through, watching the Galaxy just look very good in that second half. So if Vanney doesn't play 2 forwards in this game, I think ownership should fire him. And I'm not joking, because I understand that Vanny doesn't like the tactics that go with his team when it comes to playing two forwards. At what point are you playing for your job? Like the Galaxy have looked inept so far this season, and in one half you looked better than you had at any point through 5 games. So I don't know what else he needs to see to be like, okay, my hand's forced. I have to play two forwards, and that's without Chicharito. It was Joveljic and Judd. Like that's who was up top, and they were still creating like crazy.
Right.
You brought in creative wingbacks to replace wingbacks you've sold and to replace wingers you've sold. The pieces are there. Run two forwards. So I have to think he runs two forwards here. I don't know how he gets away with not doing it. So that's really what I'm banking on here. Now, granted, it's not just that. I do want to see two forwards, but the Galaxy defense has been good this season, with an expected goals conceded of 1.32 through 5 games. Sounds like a lot. Houston, though, has an expected goals total conceded of 1.52 through 5 games, and Houston has 5 goals in the season. Yep. Only 2 of those are non-penalties. Like the only way Houston score is if they get penalties. And the Galaxy defense is pretty disciplined. I will say that based on how they set up. If they run a 2 forwards, obviously that might change a little bit. This could get into a more free-flowing game. But I think Galaxy have a much better chance here if they run 2 forwards. That's what I'm going to bank on. Granted, I'm not pivoting if they don't have 2 forwards. Like I'm not cashing out or trying to get out of this bet. I think they draw if they don't run 2 forwards. Houston does not. Houston's attack doesn't threaten anyone.
No.
And Galaxy's defense is strong. This could play out to a literal boring 0-0 if Galaxy just do what they've been doing. But if Galaxy run 2 forwards, then I'm interested in team total. I like there's a lot there for the Galaxy if they make the formation swap. I don't know what other evidence there is. So this is more of a gut play here that they have to make the switch. But like I said, when I lead play, Vanny's as stubborn as they come. So to be safe, draw no bet. I think this push is at worst. I just can't see Houston taking all 3 points at home here. They're not a good squad. They do play hard, but they're not good. They're not very talented. So especially up top. So yeah, draw no bet, even money, I think is a pretty safe bet to start the show off.
Yeah, I like it. We were chatting a little bit about this one in the chat before the show. For me, you hit the nail on the head. Like Houston just is so toothless going forward. One of their DPs is Ferreira, who is supposed to be this team's go-to 9, their go-to striker. He's been so bad. He hasn't started, I think, since the second week of this season. They tried to make some moves. They brought in Bassi, Moroccan striker. He was formerly in League 2 in France. I asked you about him. I was like, hey, did we miss this guy? Like, did he slip under our radar? And you said, no, he just hasn't really shown me anything. And I watched that next game, which was his debut against Austin. And I was like, yeah, he doesn't have it. So Houston's got a problem in attack as far as just creating chances. And like you said, I think we're getting the better team here at a good price. You're comfortable with Galaxy's defense, and we're hopeful that Vanny will, swallow his pride and run 2 strikers and give us a chance to cash this ticket. But I think worst case scenario, we're comfortable being in this position. Absolutely. So definitely like this spot. All right. Moving on. My first play of the show. I'm going to go to Seattle here. It seems like we have a lot of St. Louis City supporters and fans that tune into this show. And I know that because, I read the YouTube comments, I get DMs on Twitter. This is nothing personal. I'm not fading your team because I don't like your team. Unbelievably impressed with what St. Louis City has been able to do in year 1 as an MLS franchise. I mean, they won 5 straight, 15-5 goal difference. They've done some great things. They have some good players, João Klaus and Gioacchini, but those guys are not Josef Martinez and Miguel Almiron. Okay, like it's not the same talent level as we've seen some expansion sides come in and make a title run or win the title in the first year. Last week, St. Louis loses at home 1-0 to Minnesota, who's still without their best player. I just think 6 games into the season now, it's time to come down to earth a little bit. You get a really, really tough test on the road here at Lumen in Seattle against the Sounders. The Sounders have been, arguably the best team in Major League Soccer this year. They've created more chances than anybody in Major League Soccer, more expected goals, still super solid at the back, one of the best back lines in the league. Also, I think that they are well equipped to handle the style that St. Louis City is going to bring, which is that high press approach. I think Seattle is going to be able to handle that just fine. And I like the matchup. I think, again, this is not an anti-St. Louis City situation. This is a betting show. And, we're trying to give you guys an edge to bet Major League Soccer. And I think some regression is coming for St. Louis City. And I think Seattle at home is well equipped to take care of business here.
So I talked about St. Louis and Minnesota last week to a buddy, and he was like, because I don't think Minnesota's a good team. I think they play. I mean, they play not to lose every game. Yeah. And so that just bugs me. But I said I'm not touching this St. Louis match because both teams for last week were at the very bottom in possession. St. Louis wants you to have the ball. And for the first time, they met a team who wants to have the ball less than them. And it totally threw everything off, man. That game was just not pretty. St. Louis was 16 shots, only 3 on target. They weren't getting good looks because they weren't able to they couldn't press. They had to be the ones to create. This fits much more into St. Louis's wheelhouse. Seattle's going to own possession. This match is interesting, man. Weather could be a factor here. I don't know how it's going to be, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some rain. I think that favors Seattle a little bit. The Seattle team last week, though, was also, they just didn't have the same energy. It just wasn't there. And that's at home.
Is that concerning because of the age of their roster?
No, I think we talked about it. It's just very hard to keep up that kind of tempo all game, every game throughout the season. You're going to have lulls, right? And I wonder if they're going to hit a lull here because it's not a good spot for them coming off a loss, right? To face one of the best offenses in the league. St. Louis's defense, I think it's okay. I think St. Louis is a fine team. I mean, they've already shown well enough that their style works, but they're not the first ones to play this style. This is not the first time Seattle's going to see a high pressing team, right? Philly does it. Red Bulls do it. And other teams in the past have done it even better before. So Seattle is going to be prepared for them. The price is very interesting, right? Because any other expansion side, this would be 170 for Sounders.
Right.
But Seattle's shown they can take a punch or two and hang. So I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park for Seattle. But I do like Seattle at home where they're much better, more comfortable. If St. Louis loses, I want to see how they lose. Is it close or do the doors get blown off? And that'll let you know how it's going to be for a little bit, right? Because if you lose to Minnesota in a real gut check game and then go to Seattle and just get pounded and lose by multiple goals, you're in trouble. You're about to enter a spiral at that point. And that's when you really find out what this team is made of. It was real easy to start the season in the sense of we're winning every game. Not that their matches were easy, but those vibes are good, right? Like we're winning every game. This isn't hard, so to speak. I mean, Klaus has 3 goals from defenders who passed directly to him. I've never seen anything like that in the first 5 games of a season. It's just the teams have made it so easy for St. Louis, and Seattle's a team that's going to react well, I think, especially after going on the road and getting a big win. They know that they have the runway there in the West to really take off with how LAFC is stuttered. So yeah, I dig money line here. It's the result of the game, how Sounders win and how St. Louis loses that I'm more interested in seeing.
Yeah, and that's something worth mentioning too. I counted up. I went back and counted 15 goals this year for St. Louis City, 7 of which have either been own goals or fairly direct giveaways. So, but look, again, I'm not a St. Louis City hater. I know I'm going to get more hate, just like I had, a couple of weeks ago. But this is a betting show. When I see things like that, I'm seeing, okay, regression is coming, because that's not going to continue to happen every single game. It's just not how the game works. When you talk about teams that have figured it out, that are gelling, that are winning because they're cohesive, and they're not necessarily winning because they're the most talented teams, it reminds me of situations like Austin last year. And I'm an Austin fan. Austin went on a run in the middle of the season that was nuts. They were winning as plus 400 dogs on the road, like consecutive weeks in a row. I never got on that money train because I never thought it was a good bet. And then what happened at the end of the year? They fell completely off the cliff and they lost a whole bunch in a row. And that's carried over to this season because, obviously, I mean, right now, Austin looks like a bottom 5 team in Major League Soccer, and talent-wise, they are. So, yeah, definitely like this spot. So hopefully Sounders take care of business here. But
I mean, if you get St. Louis hate, you get St. Louis hate. But I mean, from an analytical standpoint, they are overperforming everywhere. Overperforming on offense, overperforming on defense. So I feel like you're on the right side here. Now, this is footy. Anything can happen.
Yep.
St. Louis has impressive wins already. That the one with RSL stands out, scoring 4 goals in Salt Lake. Even though RSL is not a good team, scoring 4 goals in Salt Lake is impressive. But the numbers just say, for as good as St. Louis has looked, they are overperforming right now.
Yeah, well said. All right, moving right along. Garrett, your second pick, I believe you're going to Children's Mercy Park.
Yes, I'm going to take Sporting Kansas City versus the Colorado Rapids in a bottom dweller match with both teams scoring over 2.5, because both these offenses are about to come to life. These are just 2 offenses that have underperformed routinely this season. Their expected goals differential is just growing by the week, and their defenses are not great. Sporting's defense has been better than it has in past seasons, where you could just count on Sporting to be leaky. But this is where I think Colorado ring the bell. Sporting could absolutely win this game 2-1, 3-1. But I could see 2-2. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Colorado catches up to its analytics and they win 3-1 or something like crazy like that. So I don't want a side here, but this is a spot where both teams have to feel like 3 points is definitely up for grabs, because it is another bad team coming in. And so when you're in that matchup, I expect some more aggression. I expect some more a higher tempo. And I do expect to see goals here. I think 2.5 was a little too juiced for me, the over under for that. And so it's just real interesting to be on both teams to score, for one side that has 3 clean sheets already this season and another side that has 2 clean sheets. But Colorado on the road has always been a fun spot for goals for me. And because of Kansas City's defense, I think Colorado can get on the board here. And we'll see who takes home a winner, who takes this 2-1 or 3-1. But I'm very comfortable at plus money to get both teams to score in over 2.5 here based on the analytics.
Yeah, I love goals here. I told you before the show, specifically, I think Kansas City could potentially even carry this total. I mean, I know you don't care which way it cashes. We just want cash here.
Kansas City is Chelsea, man. They are just shots and no quality. But Rapids defense is so bad that they'll let a couple in.
I'm pumping the brakes on the Chelsea comparison for now. I think we don't have a big enough sample size. you look back at this same Sporting Kansas City group, last 10 games of the season, last season, they were putting 3-4 goals in, multiple times during that stretch, scored a lot of goals in the preseason. I know it's preseason. They've looked good at times in chance creation. The first game of the year comes to mind on the road against Portland. Last week on the road against Philadelphia, they looked good. They even looked good. I mean, they've looked good most of the time this season. They have created chances. I know you got to have quality, but I think they still have the quality. It's the same guys that were scoring.
Well, Russell and Polito are back. Russell started last match. Polito came off the bench. It'll be interesting to see if Polito takes over for Agata at the 9, considering how underwhelming Agata has been to start the season. I do think Russell not being there has affected it for sure. But I want to pump the brakes on betting Sporting Kansas City to take all 3 points here, because you were talking about chance creation. The Rapids are 4th in in big chances created right now, and 1st in big chances missed. It like the alarm bells are sounding for Colorado's about to score multiple goals somewhere. And so this feels like that spot to do it in. Sporting has always been better at home, but this is a game, seriously, because of the analytics, how both teams are underperforming and the defenses aren't great, where I don't want to side, because the pendulum could easily swing either way.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I think my only concern, I guess, or not concern, but I guess my only rebuttal would be, we're talking about Sporting Kansas City's lack of quality so far this season. Is Colorado not in the same boat as far as lack of quality in the final third?
They're creating better chances. Colorado's creating. Kansas City has more shots. They've got a ton of shots on target, but none of it threatened, right? Like it's they get their expected goal differential grows based on just quantity of shots. Gotcha. Colorado's has been quality of shots. Like they've created good looks. Good chances. They're just not getting it to bounce their way right now.
Fantastic. Well, this one jumped out to me as well when I initially saw the board as potential goal fest. So I don't know, if your book doesn't have the combo bet here, which if you're a soccer bettor, hopefully you have a book that has this, because it's a great bet. This is probably one of our more successful wager types on the show. Both teams have scored plus over 2.5. So
I would be okay if you can get over 3, and if your book doesn't offer this combo, I would be okay with over 3. That should be plus money, and you got push protection. I would not go higher than 3 though. Like don't go hunting here. Just let that line come to you.
Right on. Reel it in. All right, moving along. Going to Foxborough, Garrett.
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna keep on hopping on the fade Montreal train, man. I mean, Montreal we talked about it. They're a bottom dwelling team this season.
I'm shocked at this price.
It's just too much. Well, I mean, New England's not a world beater. Like their offense has struggled. Like they don't really scare anyone. But in New England, with one of the better goalkeepers, I think, in the league, this game could easily end 1-0, and New England takes it no problem. Like they're not going to sweat that. But Montreal is still top of the league in expected goals conceded. It's just this team just is bad, man. It's too much at one time. We've said it over and over again. I said it could be like this for almost half the season before they finally get some things to click. So yeah, when you give me a line for a home team in MLS against the worst team in the league, I'm gonna bite.
Yeah, and we just talked about MLS, home, home and away splits. Home is huge in this league. It's been huge forever. Even more so for New England, because they're especially good at home. They're one of the teams that clicks at home.
Back-to-back road games for Montreal too.
Yeah, and man, last week was brutal for Montreal. It was great for us because obviously we had Vancouver, but
yeah, that was the red card though. Like Vancouver definitely padded some stats after that red card.
Yeah, which I didn't mind that at all. But yeah, man, the
big thing for me here is Carlos Heel had just been coming off the bench 3 3 weeks and 2 weeks prior. Last week, finally got a full start, was man of the match, looked great. As long as he's raring to go for 90, he's the best player on the pitch, bar none, in this match. And that this price is just I can't see this price not moving. I don't know how it doesn't.
Yeah, and they need him too. I mean, Heel is the string puller there, so that's a guy that attack desperately needed. He's back, so I like it even more. I mean, that just makes me like this spot even more. Like you said, New England, I wouldn't call them the best team in the league, but they're at home. They're not a bad team, and Montreal might very well be the worst team in MLS right now.
No, they are. It's not close.
There you go.
In my opinion, it's not close.
There you go. Okay, right on. So we just banged out 4 free picks for you guys. Looking to keep the winners going. Of course, the next segment of the show, my favorite segment, is the super collaboration. I think we might have hit 2 in a row of these, so we're going for 3 straight. I know we got a guy, one of our frequent viewers, Humble Beast. He's actually keeping track of the show's results for me. So if I messed up on that, if we've only got 1 right, I think we've got two in a row right, but he will definitely correct in the comments. So results will be tracked in the comments.
Last week's couldn't be more sweat free though.
Couldn't have been easier.
Last week's was nice.
Had a 0-0 snoozer
for an under 3.5, and then a 5-0 win for was it double chance?
The double chance, yeah.
So easy.
Yeah, we had a whole 6 goals to spare in that one. All right, so here we go. Super collaboration. I'm going to start it off. I'm going back to the well here with my DC United, the Wayne Rooney's over there. Got DC United and Columbus taking the alt total in the first half at over a half. So this is around minus 240. If you go, of course, it's before the match starts. So I just need a goal in the first half. DC United, I've kind of been talking about them, kind of been riding them in situational spots this season already. I think they're a little bit better than the books are giving them credit for, and I think their attack is a little bit better. They've been scoring some goals, and the first halves of their games have been open. They're still pretty poor defensively. And Columbus Crew, with first-year head coach Wilfred Nancy, these guys look awesome. Considering the moves that they made in the offseason, the players that they no longer have, they don't have a ton of depth. They got a lot of youngsters. Cucho has not even been available for most of the season, and he's by far, he's their stud striker. He hasn't even been available, and these guys are scoring like 3, 4, 5. They scored like 6 goals against Atlanta. So
10 goals their last 2 games, man.
Yeah, these guys are on a tear, and it's obviously the coaching. I could not be higher on Nancy as a head coach. What he did last year at Montreal was awesome. Now he's in Columbus. I think they got a good one, and I think there's no reason that this first half shouldn't be open. I think there's going to be chances.
Yeah, I definitely like goals more when DC's at home. They're more comfortable, and Columbus, you got to think they're riding so high, man. Like, I don't see how they fear anyone right now, considering how they're playing. They're just smoking guys. So I dig that look. I think for a parlay piece, I think that's a really solid play.
Awesome.
And then I'm gonna pick on Vancouver here, having to play midweek against a tough LAFC side versus a really bad Portland defense. Vancouver, I'm pretty sure Vancouver's home here. They should score. They should score at home against Portland's defense. Portland, I believe, is the 4th worst defense right now analytically from an expected goals conceded look in the league right now. They're always more leaky on the road. And what I'm curious in is how many minutes Bali gets. Comes on in the 86th minute last game, scores in the 90+2, I think. And so in 6 minutes, saves points for Portland and gets them a point. And so like an instant impact, and he slapped that ball, man. It was not a great angle. It was more just a out of desperation type, but that ball zipped. So I want to see if he obviously will get more minutes. I'm curious how many more minutes. If he's only coming on 86, I can't see him starting him, but Portland is going to find a way against this Vancouver defense who is giving up from an expected goals angle more than one goal a game. I think Portland's going to have a little bit of an edge here with some fresher legs. Vancouver's not a deep squad, and they're going to have to run their best squad out against LAFC for the
Oh
home
yeah,
leg and try to
tomorrow.
get something out of that one. Yep. And so I think it's a good spot for Portland to get on the board. Vancouver should obviously score against this Portland defense. Portland might be my dog of the week. I don't know yet.
All
I'm a
right.
little. It's just such a good spot, man. Like
What's going on with Evander?
So they're claiming that he's hurt, right? I don't know. It's on the injury report. It says, basically game time decision. Like he's not officially out or anything, but there was already not good vibes before the injury.
Yeah, but they just paid $10 million for him. He's not going to turn around and get shipped out after 5 days, right? Or 5 games.
No. They've got to find a way to. The problem is that they haven't really found a way for him to work except when he's out on the wing, and that's not what they brought him in for. They brought him in to be the string puller at the 10. So this has vibes of player versus coach. I don't like it. So as long as he's out on the injury report, then they don't have to deal with it, right? Obviously, I like them to score if he's in. He's a talented dude. You give him a true 9 and somebody who will work and actually make the correct runs, he's going to find him. So if Vander's in, I like it. I still like it if he's not in here, based on just the spot for Vancouver. They're going to have a hard time, I think, keeping Portland out at least once. And so, yeah, for both teams to score, I think it's like anywhere between minus 160 to minus 180, depending on your book. That's a nice little leg just to add on here to find us some value for plus money.
Yeah, I love the plus money collabs. I think we can keep that going for most of the year. That's another big thing we're trying to do with the super collaboration. We want to make the books pay you a little juice this time. But yeah, I was wondering where you were going with this both teams to score look. I like it. I guess I didn't really blank on Vancouver's Champions League situation, but man, they're going to have all their eggs in that basket. They've got the best team in the league tomorrow, and then they got to turn around and play the second leg in LA, I guess next Tuesday or Wednesday. So, yeah, I'm definitely on board with this one. I didn't get a chance to see Frank Barley's goal. I have to go back and watch the extended highlights because I was wondering when he was going to get in. It took him a long time to get the visa taken care of, but good that he's finally here. They needed a 9 desperately.
Yeah, so we'll see. I obviously I need to see more minutes with him, but I mean, that's not really, you can't really ask for a better start. So,
right, absolutely. All right, well, kind of a shorter show today. We went ahead and knocked out 4 picks for you guys, and one super collab as always. 2 really good weeks in a row. I just want to ask you guys, please give us the thumbs up at the bottom of the video. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. I forgot to send out the live stream when we went live today. So that'll save you guys, potentially missing a live alert. If you're subscribing to the channel, it'll just send you an alert right away. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Garrett, any closing remarks?
Jose is subscribed.
Jose subscribed. Very nice.
I mean, he's here. He knew about it.
Oh, hey, so. Jose. We know Jose. Thanks for tuning in, bud.
So I know he's subscribed.
Absolutely.
But no, as always, best of luck to whatever you're on this weekend. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next week, guys.